moving on from James Joyce to who else of the Western canon have I read? Tolstoy. Let's talk about Tolstoy. So I loved Anna Karenina, but it's been like 10 years since I read it. So I really don't have that much to say about Anna Karenina. I read War and Peace more recently, slightly, and as far as I can remember, it had almost as much wheat, but a lot more death. Wait, no, they both had a lot of death. It's been like 10 years since I've read War and Peace or Anna Karenina, but I read Kreutzer Sonata more recently, so that's what I'm reflecting on when I think about Tolstoy. And maybe that's unfortunate because it casts my previous positive experiences with his work in a much darker light. But ultimately, I'm not one of those people who thinks you can necessarily separate an artist from their art, or vice versa. So, as much as I appreciated Anna Karenina, and as much as I absolutely loved some of War and Peace, although ultimately I found the book boring, I loved those chapters on death, particularly the death of the old man. It was just so moving and so frightening and so vulnerable, and so I really do commend that work. It's almost like a miniature of Ivan Illich, and in my opinion better than Ivan Illich, in that because it's so condensed, it's just a really deep meditation on what it means to be alone facing your death. That being said, Tolstoy was a misogynist and really into God, but not in a fun way like Dostoevsky, in like a scary way. I kind of feel like he'd be like one of those weird fundamentalist cultists if he were still around, and I'm not about that life. Also, I'm under the impression he hates the Jews. I know Dostoevsky had problems with the Jews. I don't actually remember reading anywhere that Tolstoy did, and I'm not sure if it shows up in his books because, again, it's been 10 years since I read them. But I get the vibe. I get that vibe from him.